what? 116, 112 to Usyk. Frank Warren said it is what it is, but at the same time, Frank said it's a liberty. That's what it is. He was having none of it. Frank and Tyson Fury himself spoke about the scoring of the fight.
I was quite confident. I thought I won that fight again. I think I've got Larry Holmes here. I thought I've won both fights. But then again, I've gone home with 2 losses on my record now, so there's not much I can do about it. I can just fight my heart out and do the best I can. But again, I'll always believe until the day I die, I won that fight.
The facts of the matter is one judge did not give Tyson a round from 6 onwards. How can that be? Is he blind? And then the other 2 judges each gave him 1 round from round 6 onwards. What fight are they watching? I'm sitting next to Oscar De La Hoya, who's a neutral, who had him winning by 3 rounds. I thought it was at least 3 rounds. Bob Arum had him winning by more than that. Everybody along that road there, and Usyk's people were sitting there, and I'm telling you, they were despondent.
Simon, I mean,
by that logic, that Frank would mean that Tyson had won 4 of the first 6 rounds, which I wouldn't agree with either.
No, exactly. Fury had success, Simon, in the first half of the fight, but the volume of punches and cleaner work were from Usyk.
I mean, when I watched it, I actually scored it a draw. I thought it was that close when I watched it live. And because, of course, when you're emotionally invested and you're watching it and you're trying to have a pragmatic mindset, you're looking for all the different opportunities to score. And, of course, my bias was towards Fury, who behaved in his usual dignified way both before the fight and after the fight. Yeah, and it's difficult not to say that about him, because you'd like to see people behave the way Usyk behaves a little bit more, but that's just the way the heavyweight game is.
Yeah.
But when I watched it again, I could see why it went to Usyk, but I really do not believe it was by 4 rounds. At the very best, I'd score it 7-5. But I didn't see it 8 rounds to 4 and 116, 112, more like 115,
Did you think,
113.
there was something missing from Fury? Didn't seem to have that same eye of the tiger.
I try to look at things. I always try to look at what's going on with people. And I remember watching him come in previous fights when he comes in, like, Spartans comes in, and he came in against Dillian Whyte in that Wembley clash, when he comes in and runs to the ring.
Yeah.
And when I listen to Mariah Carey, I'm thinking, there's something amiss here. And then I'm watching him. I wanted to watch him when he looked across the ring just before they started to fight when he did Deontay Wilder in the second fight. There was this absolute burning intensity from Fury, and the wild eyes and the maniacal stare. And he tried to put on the maniacal stare, but to me, I looked at it, I thought, ooh.
Yeah,
he was intense, don't get me wrong, but he didn't have the same intensity, I thought, that he had against Wilder. And maybe that comes from the belief of having lost a fight, or the lack of belief as a result of losing the first fight. I don't know.
Well, we know for the first time AI judging was trialled at this bout, but it had no influence on the results. But it scored at 118, 112 to Usyk. Usyk is an incredible individual, Simon. As Fury has alluded to in the past, he's fighting a guy who's fighting for his country, literally.
Yeah.
Fighting for the well-being of an entire population of the Ukraine. And post-fight, Usyk took his time and then spoke about his win.
Uncle Frank, I think, blind. If Tyson say...
So what is money, and how does it get value? Paper money has value because someone says so. Bitcoin.
I think blind. If Tyson says it's Christmas gift, okay, thank you God, not Tyson. Thank you God. Thank you my coach Yuri. Thank you my coach Kuba. Thank you my team. I'm win. It's enough.
Okay.
How many rounds I'm win, how many rounds I'm not win. Now it doesn't matter.
Alexander?
And this still.
He's a class act, Simon.
He is,
a class act. Yeah. It's a joy, it's an honour to be around the man. Olympic gold medalist, undisputed champion in 2 weight divisions. Is Usyk simply the best there has ever been?
No, I think he's the best of this particular generation because he's proven to be such. I mean, it's interesting to see how he behaves. He always behaves with a maximum amount of dignity, but we haven't seen him lose. But my guess would be, if he were to lose, I think he would still behave with the prerequisite level of dignity that seems to evade others. We've seen Fury's outburst before the fight, which I thought was unpalatable, but it goes with the territory sometimes.
Yeah.
I think the fact that he loses the fight and doesn't see it that way and talks about it, he accepted in the build-up they lost the first fight. Now, for his version of events, he's now won the first fight and won the second fight. Anthony Joshua loses the second fight against Usyk and has a meltdown in the ring. Usyk drives them insane. They can't find a cure to him. They can't find the antidote. He's kryptonite to all of them. But I do think he's beatable. I mean, we're building him up to being this Superman. I do think he's beatable. And I tell you what, as much as my tips are absolutely bloody useless, I wouldn't be surprised, given that Dubois is young and fresh and powerful, because I had a bet on both of those fighters. I put a bet on Fury at 3-1, and I thought I'd go for the knockout. And I thought, I'm going to hedge this and put it on Usyk. Yeah. As the fight started, I watched, why am I betting on a knockout? Neither one of these guys are going to knock one another out because they don't have the power, whereas someone like Dubois has the power. So listen, Usyk is brilliant. He's absolutely world class. He's an ambassador. He's an athlete of the highest order. He lives the life that a fighter of his ilk lives, and Fury doesn't. And Fury lives a different life. Yeah. But both of them put on a performance. I didn't think it was the most exciting of fights watching it. I thought it was a very technical fight.
Oh, Simon, out there.
It wasn't explosive.
My God. It was edge of
I bet it was.
stuff.
I bet it was.
I think Usyk made sure of that, Jim, didn't he? Because his boxing IQ is absolutely outstanding. His skill set. And maybe he's perfect, isn't he, for Tyson? Sure. Because he's too quick. Maybe it's a smaller man that takes Usyk.
But I mean, Barry McGuigan was in here on Thursday and he turned around and said that Usyk will be too complicated for him. Doesn't matter what Tyson Fury does. He will be too complicated.
And Usyk tells you what he's going to do. I will not leave you alone. And doesn't leave you alone. There is Scott. Jim, Usyk is the greatest ever. And he won that fight. Of course he did. Dubois jumping in at the end was just embarrassing. Usyk was talking about his family and Daniel just jumped in at the wrong point. Scott, thanks for that. We'll talk about that in a second. And we'll talk.
Let me stop there, people. Okay. This is Talk Sports recap on Usyk Fury 2. Okay. And we got to start at the beginning, the scorecards, okay? I had it like Simon 7-5, okay? I had it 7-5. Didn't have it 8-4. I had it 7-5. But a lot of people are arguing over that, like, well, hey, you didn't give, how did one judge give Tyson Fury a round after the 6th round or a round after the 6th? At any point, I think of another fight. Okay, in comparison to Lomachenko-Lopez. Lopez beat Lomachenko, but did he beat him that way, in that way, according to the scorecards? No. So you got to look at this fight the same way. You know, if you want to pour energy into a bleeding heart Lomachenko issue, how about a bleeding heart Fury issue as well? Because you have to look at that the same, because it was the same situation. AI, okay, they're obsolete. I'm glad that they are obsolete because, you know, it's AI, bro. Come on. You know, you have to look at something with your human eye to see, you know, based on what it is. But AI it's brought up because, obviously, for a reason, because of discrepancies in the judge calling. Now, looking at Tyson Fury, like Simon Jordan said, well, hey, we have the Tyson Fury that came in versus Wilder, than the Tyson Fury that came in here with Usyk. And I do absolutely feel the same way that Simon felt when he said, well, he tried to, you know, to give that stare, but it wasn't the same. Tyson looked at Wilder like he wanted to kill him. He was like, you're getting it. And it was that look like, you know what I mean? That was that look of, listen, this is what's going to happen to you. I'm going to take you out. And that's exactly what he did. It took him 11 rounds to do it, but he got it done. Okay. In this fight, it's like he tried to put on that same, or use, or reharness that same energy, but it wasn't there. You know what I mean? It was like, you know what I mean? So it wasn't the same. It was not the same. And, you know, he was talking about Frank Warren's, Bob Arum's, I think, you know, the neutral guy was Oscar De La Hoya, and he had him winning by 3 rounds. Now, that is something to talk about because, hey, you know, it's Oscar De La Hoya's with Golden Boy. He has no pony in the show. Bob and Frank, you know, again, neutral is important. Not neutral. That's the root word of this, right? And Tyson Fury, I just think, you know, he didn't do enough for me, you know, and in fact, you have to do what you say you're going to do. And one of the things that made Tyson Fury so impactful to me, okay, is the things that he said he was going to do, he did. And a lot of people didn't believe he was going to do it. Now, if he was able to pull it off, he'd probably be the best fighter of this generation based on what he said he was going to do. Okay, so obviously in 2 fights, you know, you've made it go to the decision. You know, The first time you fought Wilder, it went to the decision and people cheated. The greatest comeback story in the history of boxing. If you guys can remember him saying that, but he said the next fight, I'm going to stop it because I will not let it go to the scorecards because I know the American judges are biased towards me. Okay. And in this same instance, it was the same situation, but in a different country that, hey, these guys are against me or they're favoring him because of the war. So I know I have to do what I got to do. So he should have done it. That's what I say about Tyson, the Gypsy King Fury. Okay. And looking at this whole thing about Tyson being not ready or this and that, well, that's his problem. So I don't really give that a fair shake. Usyk is going to be ready because Usyk is a professional. You know, it's hard not to like Usyk because Usyk doesn't do things like that. Oh, like Anthony Joshua lost so much stock for doing exactly what Tyson Fury did. And let's talk about that for a minute, okay? I was going to use that for a different video. Let's do it now. Tyson Fury walked out of that ring. He didn't even speak his piece then. He had this press conference, sure, but he didn't say what he wanted to say outside the ring because of sportsmanship, people. See, Anthony Joshua walked out of the ring, slapped his dad's hand away. He didn't want no help getting out of the ring, acted a straight ass, walked damn near to the back and stopped, thought about it, and turned around and went back in and then had that meltdown. You know, did he lose a lot of credibility? Absolutely. Because he's the one that's talking about character and what you should do and how you should do it. And, you know, this is how you should carry yourself, you know, and respect yourself, you know, and your choice of words is all about your character, keeping yourself calm, glued, okay? Not the opposite, unglued. Okay, so I think that's what, you know, happened to him. So, yeah, he had a meltdown. But Tyson Fury walks out of the ring, don't say a thing, you know, and, you know, stormed out, got up in Ben Davidson's face. What do you think I won? What do you think? Do you think I lost? You know what I'm Ben saying? He said he thought you had a tie or he, you know, nicked it or whatever, you know. But that's his friend. He's supposed to say that, you know, especially what are you going to do when a 6'8", 9 guy comes near you and say, what do you think I lost? You know, so what is Ben going to do? You know, honestly. So, yeah, you know, in all fairness, I do think that Oleksandr Usyk won. Did he win by that amount of rounds? No, I think it was 7-5. You know, but the right man got the nod. Okay, so it wasn't a robbery in that regard. So we can talk about like how we can talk about any type of outcome with, you know, speaking of, you know, penny pinching. But if it was close, it would be much more important. But then the closer a fight is, the less credibility you have to give a person that wins a decision, don't you? You know what I mean? Because it shows you what the progress of Tyson Fury was. So I do understand the argument, you know, but again, the right person won because Tyson Fury, again, was supposed to get the job done. Bars. But you guys tell me what you think of Talk Sports panel and their responses to this particular fight. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch.